um, a screen, and the big ugly guy under that's me. And on your right will be the messages. So if there's anything, once again, that I'm missing or I'm going too fast or you didn't get it, let me know. I'm going to go ahead here. I'm looking first. I think there's a way for me to just automatically let anybody else that joins us just come on in. So what I want to do, I'm going to take a look, and let me give you a little bit of background on me, just so you know. So my name is Casey Lewis, and I am the CEO of Rhino Pest Control Marketing, which is a subsidiary of Rhino Digital Media Incorporated. We work with pest control companies all over the United States, and our goal is really to work with one pest control company in each different market area and try to help them to dominate from an online perspective in their market area. Obviously, a lot of that is always going to start with your website. Generally, when we start working with a client, that's the first thing we're going to do is go through their website with them, check it out, see if it's doing and performing the way they want, and then to evaluate that and give them suggestions, recommendations on how to make it work better. In the pest control market, one of the things that bothers me is so often the marketing companies, the SEO gurus, the software salespeople, etc., will try to make this topic very, very difficult. So it seems that the only ones that really know are them. And that's not the case. Creating a smart pest control website that generates leads and money is not that difficult. It just requires a lot of work, a lot of follow-up, and a lot of management. So what we really want to discuss today is what is a smart pest control website, how you create a blueprint or what we call a site map for success for that website, and then to take a little deeper understanding into what is basic on-page SEO for your local search engines in your area, which is going to be Google 80+% of the time. And then to talk about the role that content plays in your SEO and your traffic attainment. So traffic is what equals leads. Leads are what equals sales. It's really just math when you're looking at this. And then which Google tools can you use to manage your website? The free tools that you should have set up on your website. You should have your own account set up that you can manage and monitor the effectiveness of your website. And then we can talk at the end here, if you want. I've got some additional pages. We can talk about integrations and different strategies you can use to grow that website traffic, your leads, and your sales. Again, at the bottom, you'll see sometimes I have a few little quotes in here, but if it's really important, you're going to find a way. Otherwise, you'll just find an excuse not to do it. So again, these are things that you can do. You can start doing this tomorrow, and we want to be able to help and support you any way we can. What we do just as a company is we make ourselves available to pest control company owners and managers, developers, etc., so that we can sort of cross that border between just being some provider that's out there that's billing you, but it's never available to really help you. We are a team of people. We'll take your phone calls. We'll talk to you. We want to work with you. So what is a smart website really? What does it really mean? It's a website that's built with an architecture that will enable all of the pages, and this is a very important concept, all of the pages on your website to have a specific purpose that's optimized for search engines. So that means an ant control page is a different page than a bed bug control page, and you can't do the same thing with both. And generally speaking, if you try to, what you're going to end up having is nothing, because Google's not going to know what the page is really about. It's not going to show authority, and it's not often going to be shown in a search query in your market area. It's created with a goal of revenue and sales. Very important that we point out that your website should not be an expense. It should not be just something that you're pouring money into that generates nothing and is just sort of a glorified pamphlet or brochure out there. Your website really needs to be, as it says here, a profit-making machine. It's really more of a salesperson than it is a brochure or a pamphlet. And if you keep that in mind, then your goal should really be to grow leads and sales organically first, whenever possible. That's also always preferable, always over paid advertising. But again, it takes some work and it takes some time and some effort to do that. Now, what you're seeing in front of you here, and just let me know over there in the chat box, if you guys would just let me know, can you see this? Is it big enough so that you can make out what it is? This is an actual screenshot from a product we use called Slick Plan, which is specifically for the purposes of starting a project, working out what are all the pages we need, and we will build this with a client. This is a real client's sitemap. This website you're looking at here, the outline of it, went live in New Jersey just recently, and I can give you the name of it later if you want to take a look at what the final outcome is. But the important pieces that you'll see here is that it's broken down from the home page all the way down through it, with all of these individual boxes being a site page. Each of these site pages are then going to have to be optimized so that they each serve a general purpose for this pest control company. So for example, just using this one, this is a company that's in Haskell, New Jersey, but they service several counties in or around New Jersey that have cities in those counties that they want to get leads and grow their business. So what the first thing we want to be able to do is, when you're looking at this residential pest control site page over here and all the accompanying pest control target pest pages underneath it, so ants, carpenter ants, bed bugs, bees, cockroaches, etc., we want to make sure that in this case, that this client, all of their existing regular target pest pages are optimized in the city that they serve. And that's generally going to be the city that you have set up your Google My Business account with, which is now known as Google Business Profile. And then as you look over here to the right, where we have areas we serve, what you'll see is we then break down all of the cities they want to serve, and then those pest control pages are duplicated, but with different content that's optimized specifically for those cities. So in this case, we have Ridgewood here in Bergen County, and you'll see underneath it, you can't see all of it, but you see ants, carpenter ants, and bed bugs. Those pages under that particular area will be optimized for Ridgewood, for ant control in Ridgewood, so that when people are doing a local search, in this case in the area of Ridgewood, for either general pest control, either ant control, carpenter ants, bed bugs, whatever it is, that there's a page that's going to pop up and show up locally. And that's an extremely important concept with your website that you have to keep in mind, because if you're trying to get over here this ant control page to be optimized for all of the counties and all of the cities that they serve, it will not work. It's a common problem we see with pest control companies, where they will actually try to optimize a single page for a wide geographical area, and it just doesn't work. We're working with a client right now, to give you an example, where they have a site page for Oregon and a site page for California, and that's just not going to work. That's too broad. There's too many cities and local communities within those two states for Google to be able to match it up to a local search. So what ends up happening is they don't really get any results from either of those pages, because Google's not sure where to match up that local search query. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me? Let me know if you would in that chat box, just because I want to make sure that that concept makes sense, because it's from what we're going to talk about today with this pest control website, this is likely the single most important piece of it. It's the piece that a lot of times a pest control owner will shy away from because of the cost in building out these pages and growing your website like this. What we will often do in these situations is we will build these in stages. So maybe you go and you start growing routes in one city or another, and we'll optimize a set of pages for one area. And then at a later date, maybe do another set. And I would recommend that you take that as a strategy or as a plan to grow your pest control company city by city, community by community, and area by area. But it will start with first dominating the local area you're in for all the services, all the pests, and everything that you provide. There needs to be an individual, separate, single page. So again, looking at this, there's a home page that's optimized for the area that it's associated with your Google profile. Don't try to create a home page that you think is going to capture your entire state or the entire region you're servicing. It's really going to get Google confused if you have a Google business profile for a particular area where your pest control company is primarily located, and then try to market outside of that area. They won't really know how to handle it. And what will happen is you'll get no real results. You're going to have your standard vanity pages, which again, I'll show you that in a moment. But a vanity page might be a contact page. It might be a team page with profiles of the people that work with you, an about us page. Those are all good pages. You should have them. They should be done properly. But again, those are not necessarily going to be the kinds of pages that are going to grow your business, that are going to that you're going to see new leads and new opportunities coming in. If you look at those next ones, the service page, the city page, and the target pest page, those are the pages that grow your business. Those are the pages you're going to want to be investing in over a period of time, and those are the pages you're going to want to measure and manage the performance of those pages as you go week to week, month to month, year to year, so you can see the growth that you're actually getting. Lastly, your blueprint really comes before any design work. And again, a classic mistake is to get involved in a website build and start building pages and being concerned with the look, being concerned with the images, being concerned with the colors and the logos. Those are important, but just like if you built your house, you first have to get it framed. You first have to get the structure constructed properly before you start putting in carpets and drapes and tile. So at this stage, you're really looking at your website strategically as a wireframe. And what is it? What are the pages that I need so I can make my website a lead generating machine? And at the bottom, again, you see there, you can have a goal, but without a plan, the goal is really nothing more than a wish. So our goal for you, for your website, for a good pest control website, is leads and sales. That's why you should have it. That's what it should be doing. It should be doing it year round, all the time, and you should be able to measure it, and it should be growing. If it's not doing that, or you're not sure if it's doing that, that would be the first thing you need to figure out, so you can start with a baseline to evaluate it going forward to see, are we making money with this website? Where are we making money? Why are we not making money in this area and we're making money in that area? Those are the kinds of questions you want to be looking at with your website all of the time. And again, it should be easy. You should be able to look at it and see it. And if you've got a marketing director or an SEO person or something like that that is giving you a lot of sort of confusing jargon and spreadsheets that don't make a lot of sense, you really need to simplify that. Now, when you look at, if we break this down now, next step is if we take one page. So let's just say it's that ant control page. each individual page needs very specific things for it to be optimized, for it to index on Google, and for you to receive leads and generate sales. And those are listed there in the bullet points on the left. And it's going to start with your URL, and that's generally going to be the slug. And the slug would be, for example, if you're acmepestcontrol.com/ant control. And that is going to let Google know that this page is about ant control for your website. Then the next step is the page title itself. And if you don't know how to title your page, that is something you really need to know, and something we'll help you with here a little bit. And as I said, we're always here to help you if you get confused with something and you need some additional support. We don't charge for that. We don't make it a mystery. We're going to show you how to use Google tools for you to be able to do these things. You then need to have with that page what's called a meta description. That again is for Google. It's not an advertisement. It's so that Google, which is nothing more than a computer algorithm, to be able to determine what is this page about. Your H1 tag is extremely important as well, and that is part of the content that's on your page. Excuse me. And you could consider that to be your headline or the main part of your page, the thing that's going to really describe for Google, once again, that this is the most important part of this page and this is what it's about. So for example, on this ant control example, the H1 tag might be ant control experts in my town, USA. And very simple, very sweet. And all of the content on that page is going to revolve around that H1 tag. Image alt tags are extremely important, and they're often neglected or forgot about altogether. And that is that on your website page, on this page, you're going to likely have some pictures of some ants. You may have pictures of one of your crew or technicians doing a service on a colony, something of that sort. You can take those pages and you can give them a tag, which will tell Google, once again, what that picture is, what's on that picture, and what it's about. A very important point, because more and more people are actually looking up images. Bedbugs is a great example, and that's the route that they're finding their way to the page on your website. So image alt tags are very, very important. Keyword density content, what that means is that on that page, you have a specific amount of content written, in this case, about ant control. And the keyword on there is going to be ant control. And you don't want to overdo that word, but you want to make sure that the text and the content that is on that page is speaking directly about ant control, ant problems, and it's all ant related. Links, next, is a very important issue, and that will come in a little later when you're using things like blogs or videos, or even if you have other partner companies that you work with in your local market, getting them to actually link to that page. Google will give you bonus points for having links on your page that bring in people that are trying to find out, in this case, about an ant problem. Last but not least is you can advertise. That's a money cost, but you can advertise with Google for people in your local area that are having a problem with ants in their kitchens or carpenter ant issues or whatever they may be. And that ad that you're paying for with Google will link through to that page or a landing page and enable people to come there and contact you directly. And that contact can be via a form fill, via a phone call, or what's becoming more and more apparent today, which is messaging and then voice search. So all of these things are known as on-site SEO. And if you see at the bottom there in the red, and I'll just read it in case it's too small, But on-site SEO, also known as on-page SEO, is the practice of optimizing elements on a website, and in order to have that page rank higher and earn more relevant traffic from search engines. So in other words, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to create a single page, in this case for ant control, that Google's going to find, search, crawl, and then index as a page that people in your local market who are having issues with this type of issue, in this case ants, are going to be able to click through and find it. Remember, again, what's really important here, when you understand what Google's really trying to do, it's not that difficult. What Google is trying to do is accumulate the data or the code that's on your individual website page and trying to make it a relevant and good match for somebody out there that's introducing a search query or doing a search term in Google and saying, this is a good match, so I'm going to bring these two together so that this person can be seen. And again, as we progress through this, I've got a couple slides to show this to you and try to make it be a little more simple to understand. So what you're looking at here, and this is a search, we refer to this, and you'll hear this term. This is a SERP, SERP, and that stands for Search Engine Results Page. And I'll break this down for you. This is actually one of our clients. And if you look up at the top there, you'll see the search query that I typed in. And it just says Avenel, California Pest Control. And if you look at it, what you're going to see, we call this the trifecta, is that in this particular instance, our client has a Google local service ad, and it pops up right up at the top, right there in the middle for San Joaquin Pest Control. They also have right #1 spot on Google Maps. That is a direct result, again, of having an optimized Google profile or Google My Business page, which will be a subject for another workshop. But in doing that, you can see that they're showing up right at the top of that search. And then as a bonus, at the bottom there, you're seeing they're coming up #1 for just specific organic search. And then on that organic search at the bottom there, I've also put some arrows in there so you can see the relevancy of those individual optimized on-page items. In this case, at top there, you see the URL. You can't see it all because they have a long URL, but at the end there, the slug is Pest Control Avenel. And Avenel is a city. It's a small area in Central California. In this particular company, they have numerous optimized individual pages for all of the communities, all of the cities and towns that surround their pest control business, so they get this kind of activity. Then underneath it, what you'll see is in bold blue there, the page title, which you can change, you can manage it. Sometimes, in this case, we're using Exterminator and Avenel, and then it has San Joaquin Pest Control. Sometimes Exterminator works better than Pest Control. Sometimes Pest Control works better. But what you'll see is that these are the kinds of things you have to evaluate when you're evaluating your website pages and their individual performance. Underneath it, what you'll see, and this also is something that's unique, we can change, we can play with, we can trial different things to see what brings this, in this case, this organic search query right to the top so that they are able to get these clicks. And you'll see, if you look at the meta description, you will see, and I hope you can see this, let me know if you can, please, that pest control is bold, Avenel is bold, then again pest control, and then exterminator. And what that is telling you is in the search query, those are the results that Google picked up and decided this was a good match for that query. And so they were going to get a good position on that SERP, or that search engine results page. So what you have here is, with a single search, this particular company has one, two, three really good opportunities to get the click. Now, this is, again, trying to stay focused here. This is just the beginning. This is just to get those pages optimized, to get them to show up in search results, and to get the all important click or click through or phone call or message. Does that make sense? Again, this is very, very important. Like the sitemap, this on-page SEO for each single page is what will make your website work or not work so well. Does that make any sense to you, Corey? Are you still with us? John, let me know, just as I'm walking through this, if I'm making sense or if this sounds like a bunch of technical jargon. Because, again, remember, my purpose here is to try to simplify this so that you can have a conversation with whoever your web developer is, or if some sales rep's trying to sell you some goodies, you can talk to him about how they actually create the page and all the on-page SEO, and then how they manage and monitor that on an ongoing basis, so that they can then help you to evaluate how many leads are we getting out of Avenel, how much does it cost us to get these leads, and then what are we doing with them? Are we converting them? Are we selling them? Are we getting a lot of one-shots? Are we getting good annual subscribers? What's coming from this particular page? Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. It's always hard. I'm just sitting here in a room. I got lights on me. I've got two monitors going. So I'm trying to make this make sense. I do this every day, but sometimes this is kind of dry and boring stuff. Now, looking at this again, this is again showing kind of a site map. This is, I am in Las Vegas, Nevada. In Las Vegas, Nevada, one of the areas that you're going to want to, if you're a pest control company here, to index in is called Henderson. Henderson's on one side. It's a large, very nice suburban area. There's actually another side where I'm at, where I live, on the other, called Summerlin. But what you see here is, when you're looking at the website from this perspective, from Google's perspective, and not like it's a brochure, I've highlighted here for you the front door, which we'll call the home page, and then a city door over here, which is in this case somebody locally in Henderson, and then a target pest door, which in this case, let's say it's bed bug control. Now, when you look at this, what's important to understand, and again, oftentimes misunderstood, is what we really want to happen if we're effective with our SEO and our website, is that the target pest door is the entry point, not the homepage. If you're relying on your homepage for people to come there and have to surf around your website, it's going to be more difficult, especially when you consider that today's day and age, 70 to 80% of all of this use is happening on a mobile device or a smartphone. And so when they're looking, oftentimes the search could very easily be local bed bug company near me. It would be a classic example. And so when that happens, what we want them to do is actually land right here on the bed bug page in Henderson with all of that content that we talked about, that appropriate content, and with several ways to contact us, whether it's a form, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a message. We want that contact. So when you're looking at your website, when you're building it and thinking about it, before you get into the drapes and the carpets and the tile, step back and think about, where do we make our money? Where do people shop for pest control and exterminator? And then how do we want them to find us in each of the communities that we serve? If you think of it that way, your website structure, its architecture, will start to take on a whole new meaning. It really sort of works backwards, where you're working from the services you want to perform, the areas you want to perform them in, and work backwards from there, if that makes sense. So this is really, really important because this is what Google does. Google, remember, is nothing more than a computerized search algorithm. It goes out every day, several times a day. It searches the internet. It grabs that information, which is code. It organizes it. It indexes it. And then when somebody actually goes searching, it decides, Google decides this, whether or not there's a good match, who's the best match, and who's going to come out on top like this. And this is what the effort is for each and every page that you have on your website, because I promise you, there is a lot more Google search going on out there other than just pest control near me. That's a great one and it works well, but you don't want to miss out on all of the other opportunities you have for people coming through all of these different doors to your business when they're ready to purchase something. So I just leave that there and leave that for you to think about for just a second. And it'll give you something to really think about on your own site. Let me get rid of my messages up here. I don't know if you can see those or not. It'll really give you something to think about your own site. Is it built this way? If it's not, why not? Would it be hard to move some pages around and reorganize it this way? Do you, as a pest control owner, do you know what's on those individual site pages and why it's there? Who wrote the content? Did they know what they were doing? Are they skilled in content for pest control and content for pest control target services? So extremely, extremely important concept here, that when you have a website, when you're building it, when you're maybe thinking about a new one or even overhauling the site that you have, that this is what you look at before you get started. So now we've talked about content. Content is really the words you use that go on a page that are going to give Google the indications whether or not you're an expert in your area on this thing. Cockroaches, bed bugs, mosquitoes. I'm in Nevada. Scorpions are a big deal out here. So I'll read this one for you. Content is important for SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And the two go hand in hand. Again, that concept. Google receives a search query. Someone does a search. Then Google's going to go out and try to find in that local area, because it knows where that search is coming from, is there a site page out there that makes good sense to show to this person so they can then click on it and go get additional information? That is really what Google's trying to accomplish. And we can either help them with that or we can make it more difficult. Now, what is content? What is the different types of information you can provide in your local market on different topics so that Google will start to recognize you as an organization that knows what they're talking about? It starts with a blog, and I'm going to show you why a blog is so very, very important here in a moment. But if you don't know what a blog is, a blog for the most part is an additional site page. It gets a URL, you can optimize it, and it's going to be about a topic. So in this case, we refer to these as topic clusters. And the reason for that is if you go do one blog article on ants, that's not going to be enough for Google to consider that you are a subject matter expert on ants. You may want to have 10 to 20 articles on ants, one topic cluster. You may want to have another 10 or 20 on, if you're in Nevada, scorpions. That's a second topic cluster. All of those blog articles index on their own and come up in search queries, and they do very well. And then within those blog articles, we want links. And we also want call to actions so people can then contact us. But this is a long over overlooked piece of a very strategic website strategy that will make your website the best in its area and the best in topics and draw traffic to your website, which is eventually what we'll talk about in a minute again, more and more important to you as a pest control owner, because traffic equals leads, leads equals sales. And those are three very, very important numbers, because online marketing is nothing more than a numbers game. And everything you need to do to improve those numbers is what will improve your bottom line. And I'll walk through some of the other things you can consider. YouTube videos are really important. And once again, you can't do one and every 3 years and think that that's going to work. You have to do lots of them. And in the past, videos have been prohibitive because they were expensive. Videos are no longer expensive. You can take your iPhone out in the field with you or your technicians once in a while. You can put it on a stick and you can do a 30 to 60-second video showing your service, showing you knocking down webs, showing you doing a spray, doing a bed bug job, whatever it is. And you can continue to post those to Google, and then you can continue to link those to your site. And remember, Google owns YouTube. YouTube will very soon overtake Google as the #1 search engine on the planet. So if you don't think YouTube videos are important, you really want to think about it again. And videos will show up organically in Google search. You can optimize your videos the same way you optimize your site pages, and it makes them very, very important and very helpful to your overall strategy for online SEO. Guides can be things like, what do you do before a structural fumigation? How do you prepare when you have the technician showing up to do a cockroach treatment? What will get your best bang for your treatment? Things along those lines. The same thing with infographics, which, oops, sorry, I got a call coming in. Let me get rid of that. Infographics can be graphic displays, very useful that people can see, that can show them pictures of how to get things done relevant to pest control services. Images, again, with alt tags. If you do the right images with alt tags, they can be very valuable. And I'll give you one small example. We had a client who wanted to do a bed bug campaign and was doing Google advertising for bed bugs. And one of the terms that kept showing up, and it would show up late in the evening, sometimes in the middle of the night, was picture of bed bugs. And the best that we could figure out was that people were maybe seeing the bed bug or caught one or freaking out. And so they were actually doing a search to find out what a bed bug looked like. You can optimize pictures of bed bugs in your local market, so when people look for them, they show up with your pest control company's name and a link to your bed bug site page. So again, they can be really important. A content calendar. So what is a content calendar? For pest control, it's relatively easy. In pest control, one of the downsides to content is you have so many different things that you do, from general pest control annual subscribers to individual calls for bed bug treatments, for rodent exclusion, if you're in termite work and do fumigations. So there's all kinds of different topics that your content needs to cover. And if you just go about it randomly throwing up a bunch of stuff, you're never going to really gain topic cluster search or optimized expert on that particular topic. So again, we get back to bed bugs. If you want bed bug treatments, if you do a lot of bed bug service, you may want to do 20 blog articles all optimized for bed bugs. We would consider that a topic cluster in your content calendar. And then the next thing, obviously, is to get them written and get them posted and get them going up as fast as you can. So once, twice, 3 times a week, this is a really, really important tactic. If you're not good at it, I would suggest strongly you get somebody that is good at it, that understands on-page SEO and how important these topic clusters can be, and you start getting these articles written so you can start posting them up on your website. Excuse me. And you see there where I've got several topic clusters. Again, it could go on, but bed bugs, rodents, termites, cockroaches, scorpions, silverfish, centipedes, we can go on. But you should have good content, not only on your site pages for those particular target pests, but also as individual articles that are ongoing that you're posting through your website that are getting out and onto Google search. Does that make sense? Was that clear? Because what I don't want to do, once again, is make it confusing. Sorry, I'm getting a call here and I'm get rid of them. Okay, looks like made some sense. So I hope so. But once again, any of these topics, we have guides, free guides we can send you that will help you guide you through the steps. And these are things that we are really trying to put forth to you today here. So at least you understand what you should be doing. Even if you're not doing it, these are things you need to figure out. How can I get to this point where I'm doing these things? Can I do it myself? Do I need to hire somebody? But by all means, don't just not do it. Figure out a way to get it done. In using a techno term, it's an acronym again called EAT, and it's a term that marketers understand, and it's really put out by Google, and it talks about expertise, authority, and trust. And that's what EAT stands for. If you see this, EAT is a part of Google's algorithm. It's baked into Google's search quality evaluator guidelines. And Google says it's very important. So if you want Google and other search engines to label you as a subject matter expert, it will largely depend upon the volume and the quality of your content. So it's that important. So if you have a website that you just put out there and it's been 3 or 4 years and you really haven't done anything with the content, you haven't really evaluated the website page performance of each page, this is what will change that. But both for the website pages themselves and for your content calendar going forward, to add more and more content that is very specific to those particular issues or services that you want to be found in your local market area. This is a screenshot of one of our clients. This will just give you an example. This was just done yesterday, and this is a 30-day running total, and you can see the amount of traffic that they are getting. They're doing very well. In this case, just shy of 4,800 views to their website, traffic to their website. And the interesting part, if you look at this, and I hope you can see this, is that the number one click to their site in the last 30 days is a blog article. And that article is optimized for and reads how to get rid of your ant problem in less than 24 hours. So when you would end up on this particular blog article, you might click on it to read it. It's going to have links and it's going to have methods so that that person that's interested in this topic, how do I get rid of these ants, is going to be able to click through to your pest control company, contact you and hopefully turn into a lead and subsequently a sale. But the next one is about cockroaches. Then you see bugs before you even get to their homepage. So their homepage got 372 looks, but the 3 blog articles above it got almost 2,000 looks. And then you go down below it, you'll see some of their other city pages, some of their other blog articles. But if you don't know your website this intimately, and you're not able to look at those pages and see what they're doing and evaluate the money they generate, then you need to figure this out and you need to get this in play. And don't let somebody do it for you on their proprietary software. Do it using Google tools yourself so you can verify and validate the information that they are giving you. And we've talked a little bit about Google tools. We're going to do another workshop just on this issue because it's that important. And that's your free Google tools. What are they that are available to you? And then how you should be using them. So your Google business profile, I'm going to just assume most of you know what that is, and you've probably set it up as a Google My Business account. Can you tell me just here in the chat, do you currently have a Google My Business account? Do you have access to it? And are you on a regular basis posting to it and updating your pictures and information? That's kind of a big question, but it's huge important. And if you don't, it is something you really need to be doing on a several times a week basis. Anybody still with me? And that, Corey, that's really typical. Most people will go set up their business account. It's kind of a hassle. So you think that's it. But if you want to get to that #1 ranking with your local maps listing, that 3-pack, if you also want to be able to grow those reviews, which are enormously important, you manage all of that right through your Google business profile, and you can now manage it right off the maps listing. Once again, that's something that we have a very nice guide on. If you want help on just that piece, we would be more than happy to send that to you. Yes, Anthony, I see that. That's great. Now, do any of you know what Google Search Console is? That's question #1. And in addition to your Google Search Console, do you know how to gain access to your website domain? Can you log in? Do you know how to do that? I'll just wait a second, see if anybody wants to answer. And the reason I ask you that, all of the information that I'm showing you can be ascertained by you whenever you want by doing nothing more, good, that's great, Corey, than connecting Google Search Console to your domain. Once you do that, you can monitor your page performance. You can evaluate it at the URL level. You can look at what search queries and clicks you're receiving. And even more importantly, you can submit your sitemap right to Google, and Google will give you feedback and tell you whether or not it's able to index those pages if they are indexed, and if not, why not? It'll give you information on your load speed and whether or not your mobile site is friendly, because your mobile site, I will say to you as we go through this, is more important than anything else. It's more important than your desktop. It's more important than a tablet. It's more important than laptops. It's your mobile site. So you can get extremely good information from Google Search Console right here. The next item on there is Google Workspace. Google Workspace is sort of the equivalent to Microsoft 365. It's the Gmail side of the house. But with Google Workspace, you can connect your domain to it so you can manage all of your emails so they show your domain. So it could be Casey at acmepestcontrol.com, and you can add any of your employees that you want, your administrative staff. You can take them off, you can add them. It works very well. And then all of them will then have access to the suite of Google apps. And I'm talking about things like Google Calendar, Google Drive, etc. It's a very valuable tool for you and your team to use and to coordinate with Google. We call all of this making friends with Google. And I assure you, when you support Google, when you're using their tools, when you're managing them on a regular basis, Google they reward you with top of the page index, as long as you're doing all the things we're talking about. Last but not least is Google Analytics. And I leave that for last only because Google Analytics is sort of the grandpapa to all the free Google tools. It has so much information that it's hard to use, it's hard to understand. But you certainly should have it connected to your website. If you don't, you should get it done tomorrow, because that will then start to give you ongoing analytic performance results from your website for almost anything and everything you would want to know. So that's how many users, how many unique users, where they're coming from, what device they're coming from, what city, what country, everything you can imagine associated with your website is accumulated on Google Analytics. And I'll talk in a minute about being very, very thoughtful and cautious about having all of these tools and all of these accounts in your own business name where you own it, and anybody that's going to use it, they receive permissions from you that can be removed at any time. You do not want it the other way around, where they are taking and putting you to their system, and then if anything occurs in the future, they just disconnect you and you do not have access to these records. So if you don't have your own Google Analytics account, as well as these others that you may find to be valuable, it's something you want to get on top of immediately. Last but not least, or separate, I should say, really from the Google free tools, are their paid tools for pest control. And their paid tools, probably the two main, are going to be Google Ads and then Google Local Services Ads, which again, I showed you on that SERP page earlier, the Google Local Services Ads for San Joaquin Pest Control, which shows up right at the top of the page. Any of you that remember the old Yellow Pages days, it might be equivalent to a half page or a full page ad. It's a great product. It's because it's the only product Google offers where you can challenge the leads and get them written off if they're not a real lead or a good lead. You don't get that opportunity, unfortunately, with just regular Google Ads. But Google tools are extremely important to your business. It really is the one thing that you need to learn, even if it's a little bit, so you can just look at it and you can look and see from a progression standpoint, are we moving forward? Are things getting better? Are we getting more? Are we just sitting stagnant? Are we going backwards? What's happening? Again, and Google reviews can be managed right here as well. Does that make sense? Does Google tools scare any of you? Do you understand it? Because it is an essential component to your arsenal in terms of a good, effective, smart website that's going to gather and grow leads, which convert into sales for your business. So in review, what we try to show you here is you don't start your website, you don't change it, you don't upgrade it, you really don't do anything with it until you have a thorough blueprint or site map. And that's really important. Otherwise, you're doing things randomly. You're not really sure what your main objective was when you started. So there's no real way to measure it. And there's an old saying in marketing, you can't manage what you don't measure. So we want to be able to measure our website and what it's doing so we can then manage it. We want to have single optimized website pages for everything we do and everywhere we do it. And that includes blogs. Blogs, again, are optimized site pages. And I'm looking at this just to make sure I'm covering everything I want to. Don't try to use a single page for multiple search queries. If you do that, you'll end up getting nothing. So again, don't try to put general pest control and all of the target pests on one page and expect that those pages will show up in individual target pest search queries. They won't. Understand and monitor your on-site, your on-page SEO basics. So we went over that really quickly. We have a guide that I'll be happy to send to you, but you need to understand it in your mind, just very simply. What is the URL slug? Is it the right one for that page? What's the page title? What are some of the basics? How long should it be? What's a meta description? What's the H1 tag? And there are some free tools you can use that you can download off the web. You can enter in your website URL, and you can get some really good and valuable information on what the standing is of your website today. So, you know what, Corey, it'll be easier if you send me an email, because I don't want to forget. And then it also lets me just attach the guides you want. So my email, which is coming up, but I'll just give it to you. My email, here, I'll put it in the chat. Whoop, sorry. I told you I've got my chats up here on this keyboard. So it's Casey@rhinopros.com. I'll even put my cell phone in here, which you can send me a text anytime you want. As far as my job, this is what I do all day, every day, is talk to pest control owners and operators, business managers, marketing directors, etc., to try to help get them to be able to turn the corner on pest control in their market. Because pest control is a great, great business. It's why we're associated with it. It's a great way to make money if you do it based on a plan and have a strategy. And again, we have workshops for all of that. But you want to learn how to monitor. You want to be able to create that content calendar, and it needs to be based upon topic clusters. And I would do 20 individual articles for each topic. And I know you're going to go, wow, that could be 200 different articles. Yes, it can. Yes, it should be. And don't be afraid of it. Just do it. I mean, really, it works. I showed you that. I showed you that view of that website and their traffic, and you can see from that view in that month, over half of all of their traffic was coming from blog articles that were indexed by Google, and people were accessing them. Install and learn how to use, just even at an entry level, all of the basic free Google tools. And as I said, part of the whole purpose in us doing this workshop is to get you to start. Do it tomorrow. Go figure something out. If you get confused, call me. If I can't help you, I'll put you with one of the members of our team that's an expert in that area, and we'll help you get these things set up so you can start using them. And then I want to give you a few don'ts. And I want to do this because there's a lot going on in the pest control market right now, where you have mergers and acquisitions and software companies buying up marketing companies, and them coming to you and want you to sign on with them, and they're going to do everything for you, but they're going to do it all on their platform. and you're not going to have control of anything. I will tell you, we spend as much time with our pest control partner clients undoing and starting over where they've gotten caught into these situations where they've signed up with a company that gets them to give them access and control over everything, and then they can't get it back. So, just as a general caution, don't do that. We are a marketing company that works with pest control companies. We work on everything on your account in your account. You give us permission to do that. We show you how to get it all set up. You can remove us at any time. And any reputable marketing company, that is really the way they're going to do it. So, again, really important. I think I really kind of covered all three of those. Your Google ad campaigns, if you're going to spend money and purchase advertising, you want to have it in your own account so you can look at it and you can learn how to evaluate it yourself so you can determine if it's being effective, why and how. And if it's not being effective, um, what should we do about it? As opposed to you have a company that's doing these things in the dark and they're reporting back to you on some fancy spreadsheet or document, but it's really not coming to you from the Google's dashboard. You want to see what Google's doing with that information, with those campaigns, with those clicks, with those ads. You want to be able to look at the ads. What do they say? Are they the best they can be? Um, whoop, hold on, let me. And so that to me, in review on this, that is really what we want to stress about. What did we review? What did we do here? And the don'ts. Matthew, I saw that you just joined us. We are just about finishing up. I have a recording of this whole meeting that I'll be happy to send to you. Um, if you open up your chat box down in the lower right, you'll see a little bit about what's been going on. There's also my email and my um, mobile phone or text number in there. And I'll send you, if you send me your email, I'll send you a copy of this and any or all of the guides that we have available that you might want to use that might help you. Now, this concludes the meeting that we scheduled, the workshop for a pest control smart website. And I hope that you found this to be valuable. I can't get too much feedback. We have a series of these that we're creating. We want to make them simple but useful. So it's not just a bunch of gobbledygook. We want this to be stuff that you leave, and when you go away from here, you go wonder, am I doing all these things? Can I do better? And it stimulates some real world opportunities for you to go grow the index and search capabilities of your own website. I do have some additional slides, just some information that we show to new clients, new prospects. If you want to look at it, let me know. If not, I understand. We've been on about an hour. This is all we scheduled for. Let me know, and then I can just invite you again to another time. And for some of you on the East Coast, it's already after 6. So let me know if you want me to continue, or let's just call it a day. And then I will follow up with you on our upcoming new workshops, and we can just keep doing this maybe once every month or so. I'll wait till you answer. Okay, it looks like, from what I can see here, we're probably going to bail. So I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting here. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I will send this out to all the people that were here, as well as those that were not able to make it to the meeting. Say thank you very much for your time, and I hope this was helpful. Okay.